2020. So I'm back again. So I actually have another story time, and this is has again to do with my ex, and just for uh, just for personal personal safety. I'm not going to um, give his name. I'm not going to give anybody else's name. Um, so it's just going to be going by him or they, or you get the gist. Um, so yeah, I stated in my first story time just some quick things that had happened through the relationship, and there was a lot more to it than I talked about in my last video. This person that I was in a relationship with, he was a very angry person. He was a very angry person. He was a very upset person on the inside, and I wanted to do my best to change him for the better, but unfortunately you can't help people that don't want to be helped. I did state in my last video that he did live with me and my family for a while, and he got kicked out because of some circumstances. And it was just some stuff involving my grandfather and him. I'm not really going to go too much into it. So we ended up leaving, and the reason I left is because he had me completely brainwashed that he did no wrong, and that it was all my family's fault, and that he had nothing to do with it. That's what he wanted me to think. And it was not something that I thought was going to end badly, because I was so in love with this guy, and I was a very naive teenager when I met him. I was 19 when I met him, and I wanted so badly for this to work out. And when he moved in with me and my family, I was so happy that he had moved in, because I was going to be with him all the time. And then when things started getting more and more rough and more into chaos, it was just one of those things where it was a lot of stress on me and a lot of stress on my family, and eventually it just he snapped, and that caused a big commotion amongst my family. And when we moved out, I was told that he did some very horrible things to our bathrooms, and he was just very mean to everybody when we left, and I wasn't made aware of this until a couple of months ago, actually. But yeah, it was a big mess. The whole thing that I talked about in my last video, that was just some of the stuff that had happened, and the stuff that I'm talking about in this video was more or less little bits and pieces that happened through the 2 years that I was with this person. And it was it was not a pleasant experience, and I don't ever wish this on anyone. And it for me, it got to the point where I couldn't handle it anymore, and I just said, hey, I'm going to leave. I'm going to take my things and go. And he, instead of trying to be supportive of me moving back in with my family after all of the abuse that I endured while I was there, that I talked about in my last video, he just went on a tangent and went on a rant about how I supposedly was doing some not appropriate things with someone else, and that I was cheating on him and all kinds of stuff, and it was a big mess. It was a big mess, and I told him that he was wrong for saying that to me, because I wouldn't do something like that to him, and I would never do that to anybody. I am not one of those types of people that would cheat on my significant other and, try to justify it. Oh, well, I did it because of this. No, he just was insistent that all the time that I was cheating on him, when I had no way of getting anywhere and I wasn't allowed to see anyone. So there would be no way for me to cheat on him. And his family wasn't that supportive or kind to me. And this is another thing that I stated in my last video, was that his family was a big part of my stress and anxiety while I lived there for a year. And he had an older brother who contributed to a lot of the drama and the anxiety attacks and the panic, and also his mother was a big part of that as well. And I'm not going to state her name or anything, and I'm just going to refer to her. I'm going to refer to this person as her, or their mother, or stuff like that. Yeah, but their mother was not a pleasant person either. It was just, all three of them were very toxic to live with, and it was really hard to try to function in a place where there was so much negativity and there was so much hatred and discord in the house or in the place where we lived. And it was just all kinds of messed up, and one thing happened, and sometimes the police were involved, and it was a big mess. And like I stated a minute ago, I just got to the point where I couldn't handle that anymore, and it was so overwhelming for me that I just kind of broke down, and I was constantly telling my ex that I was unhappy in this situation and that I didn't want to be around the discord and the fighting and all the mess that was happening all at once. And he didn't seem to care at all. He didn't seem to care about anything that I wanted, and it was all about what he wanted and what he wanted to do and how things were going to work and how I needed to listen to him and quit complaining. And it was a big problem. And when I told my family what happened, they immediately said, okay, well, you can come home, you can come back anytime you want, you always have a place to go. And I always, in the back of my mind, while I was living with my ex, I was always thinking in the back of my mind, I need to go home. It was always in the back of my mind. But I didn't want to leave him in a situation where it wasn't good for him either. And so I tried to make it work. I always wanted to try to make it work, and um, I was naive to think that it was gonna last as long as it did. Um, because clearly him and I weren't meant to be together, and considering I was engaged to this person, and that's another reason why I wanted it to work out so badly, is because I wanted to marry this person and I wanted to have a life with him, and the way that things were going, it was not going to happen, and it it was never going to happen. Regardless if I had stayed with him or not, it was never going to happen. He was never planning on marrying me. He just said that to coerce me to do what he wanted and to stay away from the people that mattered most to me, like my family and my friends, and like anything that he wanted, I had to do. And I didn't see the red flags. My family, fortunately, my family saw the red flags, and they kind of would warn me every now and then about all of the stuff that they would see from the outside looking in. And I should have listened to them from the get-go, because that's crazy for me to not have seen these horrible things that this man was doing, and I was stupid enough to go along with it. So that's really most of what happened. There's, again, a lot more to the situation. There's a lot more detail, but unfortunately I can't go into detail because, if there are people that watch that know this person that I'm talking about, it's gonna not turn out very well. But I do have a little bit of advice for people who are in this situation. This is just advice that I would give to somebody if they were in my situation. Definitely always look for the red flags with somebody that you're in a relationship with, in a romantic relationship with. Because if you are in a relationship with this person for 2, 3, 4 years and you don't see that what this person is doing is toxic, it's really going to affect you in the long run. It's going to make it so hard for you to live as a functioning person if all you do is do whatever makes your significant other happy and they're the one that's being toxic. That's the advice that I would have for someone in my situation. Because I don't wish that situation on anyone. And this advice is not to be taken to heart, but to just listen and think about. Because I would never give anyone advice that wasn't going to benefit that person. But I definitely suggest that if you are in any kind of domestic abuse, that you call a hotline, that you contact family, contact people that you have around that can support you and be supportive of you. in your decision to leave this person. Like myself, I had my family that supported me 100% in leaving the person that I was with, and I've been free of that. I've been free of that abuse for almost 4 months, and I feel so much better now that I was able to leave this person and leave all of that behind. And that's where I'm gonna leave this video. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And I also have some other people's channels that I'm going to link down in the description. One of them is Alexandria Robin. I'm going to link her channel in the description box below. And then also my cousin's channel, Robert and Erica. I'm going to leave their channel. I'm going to leave their channel in the description box below as well. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.